Awesome. All right, guys, let's get started. My name is Sharad. I am the owner and founder of REsimpli. Still a bit background about myself. I'm an investor in Northwest Indiana market. If you guys are not familiar, Northwest Indiana is about 30 to 45 minutes outside of downtown Chicago. I used to live in downtown Chicago. That's why I started investing in Northwest Indiana. So I'm just in one county, Lake County, Indiana. I live in Toronto, Canada now, but I'm still very active investor in Northwest Indiana. What I primarily do is we buy properties. We'll wholesale some, but our primary exit is to close on those properties, rehab them, and then either sell them as a turnkey property to other investor, rent it out and sell it as a turnkey property to other investor looking for cash flow property, or sell it on the market as a retail property. Lately, with the market changing, we've been leaning more towards the turnkey model. Just for reference, our price point in our market is now where we're buying is like 125 to 175 ARV. Max will go up to is 200,000 right now. We're not going anything over 200,000 ARV unless it's a really, really, really good deal. Anything below 200, we have a few different exits. We can rent the property out and sell it as a turnkey property. We could sell it to a homeowner as, on retail. And then we can also, in a worst case scenario, I can also keep it as a rental. I also own a property management company. So that's why we lean a little bit towards turnkey properties if we can, because we get to keep the backend property management side also and get a little bit of cash flow from that. So that's kind of a little background about myself and what kind of investing I do. A couple of other things I want to go over, some important real estate news that's very relevant to us is a 30-year interest rate climbed over 7%, average 30-year interest rate, so which is very, very significant. I was talking to my brother, he's an accounting director or CFO at a trading company, and he was telling me that he anticipates the interest rate to go up a couple of more times. It's very interesting to kind of keep an eye on that, but it's already at 7%. And just to think about the fact that it was like 3% at the beginning of the year, and then we've more than doubled that interest rate. It's very, very interesting. So that's definitely going to have an impact on housing prices. That's why we're focusing in our market that 150 price point. The reason being because somebody who's buying a house at that 150,000, their mortgage is going to be almost less than, or in most cases, less than what their rent payment would be. So people are going to lean towards buying the house, and then they can qualify for FHA loan on a $150,000 house. 3.5% is roughly about $4,500 to $5,000. And then in a lot of cases, we can give them, as a seller, we can give them credit. So they're not coming out of pocket with a lot of money. So that gives us different options. Another interesting real estate news site is that 20% of the homes saw a price cut in August, which is the highest in last 5 years. So something to keep an eye. I'm sure you guys have also noticed in your market a little bit of price cut. I am also, I get random emails from wholesalers about their properties, and I'm starting to know there's aggressive pricing and price cuts on the property. So that's something interesting to keep in mind. And on the retail side, the number of contracts canceled after a buyer signs a contract to buy a house has been over 15% for the last few months, I believe. So that's something interesting to keep in mind. As people are getting under contract to buy a house, then for some reason they're getting nervous, they're getting anxious and backing out of the contract. So that number has been over 15%. And also I was reading a news piece from National Association of Realtors, and they said that the price drop that they have, the market slowdown that they've seen in last 3 weeks, it's typically a slower time of the year. Big end of August, beginning of September, just because of the school year starting. But they said, I was reading on an NAR article that said they've noticed this slowdown this year to be much stronger than any previous year. So definitely a slowdown happening in the market. And I mentioned in my Facebook post on Friday that we got a property under contract Our initial offer was going to be 70,000 contingent on inspection, and after inspection, we found out it needs a little bit of work done, and we actually ended up getting it under contract for 50. So it's interesting where initial call that we got, the seller was pretty firm on 70,000. And then after a couple of conversations, we were able to get the seller down to 50,000. So we were noticing a little bit more in our market, where we're noticing some price drops, or sellers being a little bit more realistic about their pricing in their market. So that's kind of what's going on in my market, and just at a very macro level in real estate news related. Anything you guys are noticing, anything I can answer for you guys before we jump into our call for today? No. Cool. I can get started. Let me share my screen. All right. So what I want to talk about is, we wanted to put together a training around, we've been wanting to do this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but then we had some updates, we have updates that we rolled out in REsimpli. So we decided to just kind of, focus a little bit on that. But I wanted to do this training around building out your outbound marketing funnel. So the way you want to look at this is, again, some of the marketing channels that I'm going to talk about, I don't personally use in my business, but I wanted to build this training or this call around kind of what other people might be using in their business. But again, I want to get your feedback as much as kind of share what I have put together. So please feel free to give me your feedback, unmute yourself, and anything you have to share, please feel free to do that. Now, it's going to be a long call. We might make it into a 2-part call, but that's okay. If you guys are interested, we can keep going, or we can do part 2 of this next week. But the way to look at your marketing is that when you're doing outbound marketing, so outbound marketing is any marketing where you are making the initial contact with the seller. So you're making the outbound effort to contact with the seller. So this is going to be your RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail, where you are making the initial effort to contact the seller. Inbound marketing is where you essentially put marketing, think of it as TV ads, radio ads, your PPC. You're not specifically targeting anyone with your marketing, but you're putting a generic marketing out, and then you're getting inbound leads from that marketing. So outbound marketing channels are specific to an owner that you have that you're trying to target. So if you're sending direct mail, you're sending a direct mail to a specific owner. If you're cold calling, you're cold calling a specific owner. With inbound, your TV ads, radio, online ads, PPC, what you're doing is you're just marketing, or even billboards, you're just marketing to general public, and then anybody that's interested in your message is actually calling you back from your marketing effort. So what you want to do is, the way you want to look at this is, you want to start out with the least expensive marketing channel that you have, that you want to do in your business. Again, you might want to do RDM, SMS, cold calling, whatever you might want to do. You want to start out, you have your marketing list, you stack your list, you filter your list, however you want to do that. Then when you're starting out your marketing, you want to start out with the least expensive marketing channel. So let's say if you have 1,000 people, you start with that, then you go into the second, least expensive marketing channel, then the third, and then the fourth, so on and so forth. So you keep going like that. So instead of, spending $1,000 sending direct mail to 1,000 people, you're actually filtering your list and weeding out people that might not be interested. And then by the time you get most expensive outbound marketing channel, which tends to be direct mail, you're not having to send direct mail to 1,000 people. You're only sending direct mail to maybe 400 or 500 people. Any questions on this before I go a little bit further? Cool. Awesome. So then what happens with that is, as you start doing your marketing, whatever marketing you might be doing, you're going to get some leads. And then this is kind of what your funnel is going to look like. So just think of it, you have on the left, you have your marketing funnel. So you're doing, again, you guys might be doing some of these marketing channels, you guys might not be, but for just this call, I wanted to kind of use all the outbound marketing channels. So you might be doing RVM, which generally tends to be the least expensive. Then you go into SMS, then you go into cold calling, then you get into direct mail. From all those marketing channels, then you move them into leads. So that's where in your business, you're moving from marketing into the sales side of the business. So you have leads coming in, you qualify those leads, you go on some appointments, you make some offers, and then from there, you get some deals from there. So again, the funnel, you guys on the marketing side, you might start out with 1,000 leads, 1,000 prospects that you have. And then from there, you go to maybe sending SMS to 800 or 900. And from there, you go to cold calling about 600 or 700. And then from there, after you reach them through cold calling, make some contacts, then you direct mail to 400 or 500 people. And then out of those, all the marketing that you've done, you might have gotten 100 leads. Out of 100 leads, maybe you get, 20 appointments. Out of those 20 appointments, you go make 10 offers. Out of those 10 offers, you get 2 deals out of it. So that's kind of how your marketing funnel works on one side and your sales funnel works on the other side. Any questions on this before I go into a bit more in depth? Anything else you guys are doing in your business that I might not have covered here? I'm more than happy for any feedback, but this is kind of how I look at marketing in my business. There might be a couple of other ways you could do this that I'm going to get into, but this is kind of how we look at marketing and sales in our business on what we are doing. All right, let me share my screen again. All right, so we'll do a practical case of this also, but you want to start out with uploading your list in, REsimpli. Of course, I'm using REsimpli as an example. So let's say you start out with uploading your entire list in REsimpli. You go ahead and stack your list, you filter them, you get 1,000 records after you filter into your entire marketing list. So the first thing you're going to do is, in this case, again, if you're doing RVM, you're going to start out sending RVM to your list that you have. So you have 1,000 people in this case, and then you add the marketing info, that you send them RVM, and then campaign 1. Then the next thing you want to do is, when you're sending them RVM on your outbound caller ID, you want to use the REsimpli phone number as lead source of RVM, whatever campaign you want to give it. So you want to use that as the outbound caller ID. So in this case, what's going to happen is you send out 1,000 RVM messages to your list that you have. There's going to be 2 things that are going to happen. Either you're going to get, I'm not looking into the deliverability rate or not, because that's not relevant in this case. So let's say you end up sending out RVM to 1,000 people. There's going to be 2 things that are going to happen. Either you're going to have people that look at your phone number and they call you back. So you're going to have some people that are going to call you back. And then you're going to have a very large number of people that do not give you, that do not call back. They just, they get your RVM, or you don't know, but you don't get any response from them. The people that you get a call back from, you're going to manage them as a lead. I'm not going to get into that in too much detail in this call, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. But the 100 people that call you back or text you back, however they contact you from the initial RVM, you manage them as a lead. The people, so now out of the 1,000 people, you've done the first round of marketing. Now you have 900 people that have not called you or texted you back from your RVM campaign that you did. So next thing you want to go into second least expensive marketing channel that you have, which is going to be your SMS. So you have 900 people on your list that you have left over from your RVM campaign that you haven't heard back from. So what you do is you load up your 900 people into so you filter your list out and REsimpli export only the 900 people that have not called you, texted you back, and that have not called you, texted you back from your RVM campaign. The next thing you do is you send them SMS messages. So again, you're prospecting them, whatever messages you want to use. Hey, this is Sharad, interested, curious to see if you have any property to sell, whatever your message is. So once you send out your 900 messages from your list of 1,000 people, now you're going to have either you're going to have people that reply back to your messages, or they do not reply back to your messages. So let's say you send 900 messages. I'm making some assumptions on the how many people you get to reply back. You're going to have some people reply back. Those people are going to, either you're going to confirm whether they are correct owner or not. If they are, you're going to manage them as a lead, or get into a little bit more into if they're not correct owner, how do you manage them? So again, you send out SMS. There's going to be 2 things that happen. Either they reply back to the message, or they do not reply back. Either you don't hear a reply back, again, the deliverability, whether it gets delivered or not, it goes into the no reply back bucket, right? So now you started out with a list of 1,000 people, you sent RVM to all 1,000, you got called back from 100 people. Now you only have 900 people that you sent SMS to. Out of those 900 people, 250 people texted you back, whether they're correct owner or not, but at least you've heard back from them. Then you have 650 people that are left into your marketing funnel that you still haven't reached out. So what you do is you go into the next step, you cold call them. That's the third least expensive outbound marketing channel that you would have in your business. So you cold call them, again, there's going to be two things that happen. Either you are going to connect with the owner or you are not going to be able to connect with the owner. Again, the reason for why you do not connect with the owner might be it keeps ringing, there's no voicemail setup or whatever the case might be. But in this case, the most relevant thing is how many people do you actually end up connecting with. So let's say out of 650 people that you cold call, you ended up making connection with 150 people. Out of the 150 people, again, you're going to find out whether they are correct owner. If they are, you will manage them as a lead. You'll put them in your automated follow-up sequence, or you'll follow up, you'll move them to your sales pipeline of, qualifying the lead, making appointments, making offers, and, hopefully converting them into deals. And some of those will not be the correct owners, so which we'll get into. And then you have 500 people out of your cold calling list that you have not been able to connect with. So now you come into your most expensive outbound marketing channel, which is your direct mail. So if you look at right here, so you started out with a list of 1,000 people, 100 people you heard back from your RBM campaign, 250 people you heard back from your SMS marketing, so you have 350 people here, and then another 150 people, so total 500 people that you've heard back from your less expensive marketing channel. So now you only have 500 people that you're sending out direct mail to. So what you do is you send them direct mail. Now, in this case, there's going to be three things that happen. You send out direct mail, either people call you back, and then, again, you take them through the sales pipeline, whether they're a correct owner. If they are, you manage them as a lead, take them through your sales funnel. If they're not, we'll get into kind of what's the next step. And then the second thing that could happen is you're going to get some return mail. In case you get return mail, what you want to do is you want to update the seller's information as return mail, so you have that information. The second thing you want to do is you want to check the county records to make sure you have the most updated mailing address. So in a number of cases, what happens is you might have put your list from CropStream, list source, or whichever data source you might have used, but the data might be a few months old or a year old, and then the public information might have gotten updated. So once you get a return mail, you want to update that in your system that, okay, we send out direct mail, but once you get the updated mailing address, then you want to check the county records to see if you have updated mailing address. If you find new address for that person, then you want to put them back into the direct mail rotation. If not, then you want to remove them from future direct mail campaign because they come back as return mail and you do not have updated mailing address. So, and the third thing that's going to happen from your direct mail campaign is you have people that you've sent direct mail to, they didn't call you back, they didn't come back as return mail. So the next thing you want to do is you want to put them back into your second round of marketing campaign, go back up and just start the RBM campaign from the beginning. And then in terms of, there's a couple of different ways you can run your marketing funnel in this case. One is where you start out with list of 1,000 people, you send them RBM, you do one round. Let's say in this case, you get 100 people to call you back, and then you have 900 people that did not call you back. Then what you could do is you could take these 900 responses, you could send them another direct mail, another round of RBM until you get to a number, until you feel comfortable that you've done enough rounds of RBM in your business, for what you feel comfortable with based on your marketing budget that you have. You might say, all right, I want to send out, minimum 5 rounds of RBM or 6 rounds of RBM before I go into the next marketing channel. So that's one way of doing that, where you've done multiple rounds of same marketing channel RBM in this case. So you might have, if you do multiple rounds of RBM, this number will, eventually go up. It might not go up with 100 every time, but it might, after a few rounds of sending RBM to the same list, you might have 200 people that have called back. So instead of 900 people, you have 800 people that have not given you you haven't heard back from. So then instead of sending SMS to 900 people, you're only sending SMS to 800 people. And then you could do the same thing. You could do, 4 or 5 rounds of SMS to the same list, same, filtered list that you have, until you get to the point where this number you feel comfortable with, you've reached out enough time. So instead of 250, you might get this number up to 350. And then, instead of 650, because you had 100 more callbacks here and then 100 here, then this is going to be, actually 450 people. So it's up to you how you want to do this. The way I built this is I basically called it, RBM. So what I've done in this call is I put together my marketing as round robin between RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail, and then go back and start with RVM, SMS, cold calling, and direct mail. So again, some people, they send to the same list, they send multiple rounds of RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail, then they start again. And in some cases, you might just do one round of each and then just keep going through that. So it's totally up to you kind of how you want to do that. But for this call purposes, I did round robin between RVM, SMS, cold calling, and your direct mail. So any questions on this so far? Cool. Awesome. So the next thing that's going to happen is, so you've done RVM, you've done SMS, you've done cold calling, you've done direct mail. You're going to have some people that are going to be actual qualified leads. You're going to have some people that are going to be not qualified. You're going to have some people that you do not have correct information for. So if you have correct information, whether it's from RVM, SMS, cold calling, or direct mail, you're going to manage them as a lead, right? If it's qualified, you move them along in your pipeline. If they're not qualified, you take them off your marketing list. If they're still, you move them to dead lead, and I'll show you kind of how they automatically come off your future marketing campaign. In the stacking, I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But then the people that have called you back and they say, hey, sorry, let's say if you send out 100 RVM, you get 20 people call back and say, hey, sorry, you have the wrong number. Same thing happens with SMS, cold calling. So what you want to do with those is, if it's not a correct owner, you want to add a status of wrong number to that phone number. Then once you've done that, once you've done one complete round of marketing, or as you're getting these calls back in, right, and then you've completed like one round of going through each outbound channel, what you want to do is you want to try to do a deeper skip tracing. You want to try using a different skip tracing. Let's say if you did skip tracing initially with CropStream, you might want to skip trace them in REsimpli and see if you get a different number. If you do get a different number, if you get the same number back for some reason and you upload that back into the system, REsimpli will still keep the phone status of wrong number attached to that phone number. So even if you upload it, so let's say if you had phone number 1234 and the owner had said, hey, I'm sorry, but you have the wrong number, you mark it as a wrong number, you take your list, you skip trace it using a different service, you import that list back into the REsimpli. The phone status, if it's the same phone number, we will keep the phone status attached to it. So you will know, hey, this was a wrong number. Even though I skip traced it, I got the same information back, but this is still a wrong number. So you don't have to mark it to them. Then the next thing you want to do is, let's say if you do not get a new phone number. So you've tried reaching out to these people through RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail. So what happens if you do not get updated phone information? Then the next thing you want to do is, if it's a really, really hard deal, super stacked list, you want to go door knock. You want to, put door hangers on the doors. Talk to neighbors. You want to try to see if you can get the phone numbers of family members and start calling them to see if you can really trace down the information of the owner. So that's like next level of skip tracing that you want to do. But that's going to happen. There's always going to be some properties that you have and you're not going to be able to get in touch with the owners through all the marketing that you have done. Then that's the next thing you want to do is like door knock, door hangers, talk to family members, or talk to neighbors and see if you can somehow trace the information down. One other thing I would also do is, I forgot to put it down here, I would also call the local building department, because they generally tend to have, you'll be surprised, in smaller cities, the homeowner, especially if it's a vacant property, the building department would somehow figure out how to get the right contact information for the homeowner. So if you haven't done that, I forgot to put it in the list, but when I put this chart in our Facebook group, I'll make sure, and I'll email it to you guys also. I'll make sure I put it in there. Number 5, call local building department and see, or local building department, local utility department, and see if you are somehow able to get the updated contact information of the owner. So that's in case you do not find any new phone numbers. In case you find new phone numbers, you want to take it through the second round of marketing now, but you want to figure out any phone numbers that have a status of the wrong number. So let's say if you had 1,000 people that you started out with, you've done RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail, and there were 200 people that called back and they had wrong phone number. You skip trace them, and out of those 200 people, you got updated information for 150. Out of those 150, 100 still had the wrong phone number status. So you don't want to market to them because you've already tried texting them, RBM, cold calling that number, but you haven't been able to get in touch with them. So you want to keep it as a wrong number and not try to send them another RBM and then end up getting no response. So any questions on anything so far? Bruce, with the question, this float does make sense, but with all the subscription that we'll end up having, doesn't it defeat the purpose of saving money in marketing? What platform do you suggest for SMS and RBM? I personally don't do any, Bruce, that's a great question. I personally don't do any RBM and SMS. We used to do SMS, we tried out Smarter Contacts, then we tried out Launch Control. We didn't honestly get anything with that. So we decided not to focus on that. We're doing a lot of inbound marketing right now, but we're starting out direct mail from next month, and we're starting out cold calling from next month. RVM, I've heard from a lot of people, like very cost efficient. It's not a subscription based from what I understand, but ROAR is a good platform to use. It's not subscription based. I think you only pay per use. So I would definitely reach out to them, and I think it's like 1 to 2 cents per RVM, and same thing for the SMS. Are very inexpensive. I don't think they're subscription based. Even if they are, I think they're very, very economical. So I would test out with them. One thing I would say is I would be very careful with sending out cold RBM and SMS. A couple of reasons for that. I've had a couple of people recently that I personally know, and they have actually gotten notices from FTC, I believe, just for reaching out to people that are on litigator list. So if you're doing that, 100% make sure that you're not reaching out to any litigators on your list. But yeah, I would test out ROAR. It's not super, super expensive. And as for cold calling, let me share my screen. Awesome. So you see in my account, we are going to be rolling out our own dialer. It's in my account. I'm going to start, my team is going to start testing it. But just like really quick, this is kind of what it's going to look like. You have total records that they push to dialer, total dialed people, dialed to contact, how many times total dial, how many contacts you've made, your lead, how many leads to deals, how many abandoned calls, how many short duration calls, and call results. So we're going to be rolling out this very, very soon within REsimpli, so you can call them from within REsimpli and kind of manage all of your cold calling from within REsimpli. But so getting back to this, so the way you want to do this is, in this case, I uploaded a list of 1,050 people. Some of them have phone numbers, some of them do not have phone number. So what you want to do is initially when you're bidding your list out, depending on how you want to filter them. In this case, I've just done a very simple filter. You can whatever your filter criteria is, you want to use that. So first thing you want to make sure is when you're sending an RVM, you want to filter it based on people that have a phone number. So you want to make sure if you're sending an RVM that they actually have a phone number. And then again, in this case, I've done a very simple filter of list count should be more than 7. Again, I don't want to get into how to filter your list, how to stack it. It's a very simple, it should be more than 7 lists just for this purposes. And you want to make sure that in leads is no. So you want to make sure that you're not marketing to somebody that's already a lead in the system. And then the other thing you want to make sure is that they are not opted out. So you want to make sure that opted out is marked as no for them. So you don't want to send out any marketing to anybody that's already in opted out, somebody that's already opted out of your marketing. Karina has a question. What is the list count for? Karina, think of a list, each list as each motivation point that you have. So for example, you might pull a list of people that are on vacant list, people that are on absentee list, people that are on tax delinquent list. So each list that you're pulling is essentially, or each motivation point is a list. So in this case, again, this is just, list for demo purposes. So I just put a list. I said, all right, list count should be more than 7. So you see, I have 1,103 records in my system right now, and I've already saved this list right here, save this filter. So I'm going to go ahead and filter. It takes me down to 932 people that I have. Then I'm going to send RVM to. So what you want to do is you want to select all these people. I'm going to go ahead and select 932 people, and I'm going to say, so you are going to be sending RVM from out of REsimpli. We don't allow both RVM or SMS to prospect. Cold calling is going to be coming soon. So what you want to do is you want to click on export selected. Marketing information, you want to toggle it to yes. You want to select RVM, and you want to call RVM campaign 1, right? And your starting date, let's say you're going to be sending this out today. So I'll just put it today's date. And this is up to you. If you guys want to, I recommend you update it. So what this does is, if you have people that own multiple properties, what you want to do is, if you check this, it's gonna, so if you have, let's say for hypothetical case, you only have one person, 5 properties on your list, but they're all owned by one person in, all 5 properties are owned by one person. So if you're sending RVM, you don't want to send RVM to 5, that person 5 times. You're sending out RVM one time because it's going to be the same phone number. However, when you're exporting it or when you're updating marketing information, if you check this as yes, it's going to update marketing information for all 5 properties, that you send RVM to all 5 properties, not just to the one property. So I always do this as yes, because my intent is to reach the owner and not for the specific property. So I would do this as check it as yes. So if I have one person that I'm reaching out to, but they own 5 properties, then it's going to update my marketing for all 5 properties and not just one property. So any questions on this do you guys have? What is the yes, so Karina, yes. Will you be marketing to this list? So this is just to kind of keep your marketing information updated within REsimpli. You can add it as a tag also if you want, but I notice like tags get a little bit kind of hard to keep track of. You can always update this and add a tag, if you just want to have that additional information. You can always do that and then go back and remove tags. So in this case, that's what I would do. And then if you want to have, there's some other filters that you have. If you want to export this file and you want to have only mobile, landline, VoIP, or other phone number, and if you want to include or exclude a specific phone status. So we will do this in the next round of marketing initially, because you're sending this out for the first time. So you don't want to filter this out. So go ahead and click on export. It'll export the list. What you're going to do is you're going to take that list of, I think, 932 people. You're going to send RVM to them. So let's say you send RVM to 932 people. You're going to have some people that call you back. So I'm going to take a couple of these as an example to kind of show you what it's going to do as people start calling me back, what that's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and add a lead, RVM lead. So I'm going to just put a random phone number. Say this was my ringless voicemail. Use this. So I'm adding this manually right here, but when you're doing it, people will call you back or text you back, you just update the information and it would just happen in real time for you. So if you notice now, I had 932 people before, but it went down to 931 because that person, based on my filter right here of it should be no, it's a lead now. So that's why that was removed from my list. So imagine if you send 932 ringless voicemail, you're going to have people that keep texting you back, and then you get their information. They might be, correct information or wrong information, but at least they become a lead, and then you can manage them through the lead. And then if you have the wrong information, then you can take them through a second round of your marketing channel that you have. But for the initial marketing round that you're doing, you will know, okay, this person called me or texted me back, however they contact you on your RVM number, then you can take them off. Once you update the information, it'll just keep taking them off as you add any additional property. So if I take this, if I go back into my leads, and I'm just going to go ahead and update one of the other addresses to match this one. So if I do this, and update this information, I go back here. So this got updated to 930 people. So you keep sending RVM, you keep getting calls. As you keep getting calls, you update the information, it'll match the information and update your marketing for the second round. So let's say in this case, I only had 2 people that call me back. So now instead of 932 people that I sent initial RVM to, I only have 930 people. So you're going to have a higher number of people that call you back or text you back from your RVM campaign. But in this case, what's going to happen is you just have 930. In this case, I'm just saying I have 930 people that I'm going to send SMS to. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these 930 people. I'm going to say export selected, and then I'm going to do yes, SMS. So I'm going to do SMS campaign 1. Let's say I'm going to send this out tomorrow, update this. I'm going to go ahead and update my marketing list. So I have 930 people. Let's say this person also called me or texted me back. Let me look up a property with no address. All right, so I have this one. I'm going to go ahead and enter. Let's say this was the person that called me back. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. All right, save. So if I come back here, 929. So that's the idea. You're starting out with a big list. You send them RVM, you get callbacks, you get text back. You just update, you just add the property address. It would automatically update in the system based on, hey, this property address matches with the leads now. So you don't have to do anything. You just keep using the same filter over and over again. And then you take the remaining list that you have. Let's say send out RVM on Monday, depending on how long you want to wait. You might want to wait a week. It depends. Your cadence, marketing cadence is going to depend on a couple of things, how big your list is, and then how often you want to market to them. But I would say if you have a list of like 1,000 to 2,000 people, you send them RVM, you wait a week, you get all the callbacks, you get all the information, then you go to the next round. Then you could start out with the SMS marketing campaign, and then give SMS. You might want to give a little bit longer. You might want to give a couple of weeks to just get through all the messages, get all the replies back. And then, so if you look at, if you think of a structure of a shape of a funnel, you're starting with a big list with the least expensive marketing, then just keep going down. Your list will keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller as you get to a more expensive marketing channel. So that's what's going to keep happening. And you'll do the same thing with cold calling. In this case, I'm just going to select 10. So what we would do is, like, when we go live with this, I'm going to say send to dialer, create new campaign, cold calling, campaign 1, assign to user. Let's say I'm going to assign it to myself, scrub DNC or remove if already on a campaign. So this would be if you're adding another campaign for cold calling and you want to keep out anybody, you want to remove anybody that you already added previously from a campaign, you assign it a campaign, it's going to push right here, you come right here, and then you can start cold calling from within the system. And then as you start cold calling these people, the information will keep getting updated in the system. Anybody that you have right here, so you will be able to push them as a lead. So you can say, just move it to a lead. You can choose what stage you want to push them to. If you want to put them on which campaign for cold calling, if you want to put them on a drip, you can do that. So essentially, the idea of this is, as you keep putting more and more people on your cold calling campaign, as you keep pushing more and more people from your cold calling campaign to leads, again, if you're using an outside system, totally fine. The idea is, more people you're calling, more contacts you're going to have. You push them into REsimpli lead, the information will get updated, and as you do that, it will keep getting updated in your REsimpli right here. And then this number, the people that you have to do next round of more expensive marketing, will keep getting smaller and smaller. So you're not spending a lot of money reaching to these people through very expensive marketing channel. So then, let's say you've done RVM, you've done SMS, you've done cold calling, you've done now you're doing direct mail. So you want to make sure, like, it doesn't matter whether they have a phone number or not. So then when you're pulling your second list out, you can do is more than 7 in leads should be no, and then opt out should be no. And then one other thing you would add is mailing address status, that it should be, I mean, it's you don't want to send it to anybody that has, like, I mean, of course, if it's a missing mailing address, that you cannot send that. As far as sending it to invalid or vacant, it's up to you. For my first round, I would send out to invalid and vacant. So anytime you upload your list in REsimpli, we check the property address and mailing address to see if it's a valid address per USPS and if it's vacant or not. So you'll see these options. For me personally, for my initial round, I would send out to valid, invalid, and vacant. Maybe you could take out invalid, but again, if I don't have too many people, I'll just send it out, and then you would filter your list. You'll get in this case, I have the same phone number, but same number of records, but you would get different number of records. Then you're sending direct mail to them, and then you're gonna get either people to call you back, or they get, if I go back here, or they come back as return mail. If somebody comes back as return mail, so let's say if I go right here, this person I sent out mail to and came back as return mail. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go check and see if this is the most updated property address based on county records that I have. If that is the case, then I would just do return mail as yes. So I mark this as yes. So when I'm doing second round of mailing to this person, then I can take out return mail because I know this is going to come back as a return mail because I don't have the updated mailing address for this person. So that's what your funnel would look like. You start out with RVM, SMS, cold calling, direct mail. And then once you've cleaned up your list based on, what responses you get, how many people you're able to get in touch with, how many people you're not able to get in touch with, then you do the second round of marketing. So any questions on this that I can help you guys with? Do all the properties under the owner get taken off when a lead is created? So Tara, not all the properties. So it would just update. Typically what you would do is, so when you get so let's say if I had somebody call me back and so I have this list right here. So what would happen is, let's say you sent out RVM, SMS, cold calling, or direct mail, and people call you back and say, hey, sorry, you have the wrong number. And so what you would do is in that case is you would just go right here. And in that case, you just mark this as wrong number. So I have this as a wrong number. Let's have a couple of more people call back. I go right here. And then in this case, I do, wrong number. And let's say all of these were wrong. I tried calling them and texting them. So wrong number. Oops. Okay. All right. So let's say I do that. Now, you've gone through all of this. You've gone through this complete, round of sending RVM. You've sent SMS. You've done cold calling. You've done direct mail. You're going to have some people that call you back and say, hey, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number, you have the wrong owner. So again, you can use all these different phone statuses that you have, wrong number, busy, disconnected. But just for this purposes, I'm just using, blanket wrong phone number as the status. So now what you're going to do is you come back here, you add a phone status of wrong number. Now, when you want to skip trace those, you want to skip trace the ones, especially the ones that have phone status of wrong number, because those are incorrect number. So you can do this and then you'll see, okay, I have in this, you're going to have a lot more phone numbers, but in this case, I have 4 contacts that have called me back, texted me, or somehow got in touch with me, and they said I have the wrong information for them. So what I would do in that case is I would just select these 4 and I would skip trace them. So if you did skip trace initially using, let's say, PropStream or some other skip tracing service, then you could just come out and skip trace right here. So let's say what might happen is this number comes back, you re-skip trace it, and it comes back as this number, right? So once you get the updated number, it will not lose that phone stat. It will still keep it phone status. So even though you might have taken this list of phone numbers that you have with the wrong status, you might have re-skip traced them, but you end up getting the same information from a different skip tracing service. You upload them back into REsimpli, or you skip trace them in REsimpli, and you get the same phone number. It will still keep it status of wrong number in the system. The phone status will not get removed. So when you're doing next round of marketing, even though you try skip tracing them the second time or third time, you still keep getting the same phone number back. So it might be this, actually it might be the correct phone number, but the seller might just be saying, just to kind of, say he's not interested, saying, hey, wrong number. I do that a lot of times. If I get a marketing call, I might just, if I'm not interested, I might just say, hey, wrong number, and then just kind of, move on. So that's important to keep in mind is it will keep the phone status will stay the same if once you attach it, unless you go back and remove it manually. So, and then let's say if this person was also a lead, it would also add a phone status of attached with lead. So when you are, for example, if you're exporting a list of prospects that you have, and you only want to export the ones that have, wrong number, that's where you can select phone status to include would be wrong number. And then just, you can choose, you want to include any phone numbers that have phone status wrong, or it should only have phone status of wrong, and then, it should maybe also have attached with lead. So you can do either it should have one of these, or it should have both the phone status, or it should only have wrong and attached with lead. So you can do that. Let's say in this case, I do that. It's going to export a list of properties that I have phone numbers and that have a phone status of wrong numbers. So I can skip trace those, put them back into the system, and then take them back into my marketing rotation. Sorry, John, I'm not sure why it might be connection issue in your end, but we have the screen call recording. I'll send it up, or it's being streamed live on our Facebook group. So if you have any questions, you can go back, and you can always reach us by support@REsimpli.com, or you can put a comment in the Facebook group, and I'll be more than happy to jump on a call or answer it there. So guys, any questions on this, any thoughts or feedback or anything that you guys are doing that, I might not have kind of factored into what I talked about here in this marketing funnel? All right. Yeah, I'll do another one, a little bit more in-depth one. If you have multiple people in your list, if you have people on your list that own multiple properties, kind of how you would do that, but I didn't want to make this too complicated. Then this gives a good foundation of how you would want to use list stacking to make sure, if you're doing different outbound marketing channels, on how to make sure that you're reaching out to every single prospect that you have on your list through least expensive, starting from least expensive marketing, going to the most expensive marketing channel. Cool.
Hey, Sherrod, I have a question. This is Jeremy here. Quick question.
Sorry.
With Zapier and Launch Control, you can use Zapier with Launch Control. So if you get a lead that you want to push over, you push it from Launch Control over to REsimpli, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's
and
what
does that
doing.
Automatically track the data for that lead by using the Zapier push? Or
yes, it would automatically update right here. So this would get updated as, so let's say if you push this person, this one doesn't have a phone number. Let me take one with a phone number. So let's say if I pushed this one as an example, right? So if you notice this, I'm using this as an example, but if you notice this, once you push it from, whichever platform you're pushing from, once it becomes a lead, and if the phone number matches with one of the phone numbers in list stacking, it would automatically add the status of attached with lead. So you know that, hey, this phone number is somehow attached with one of my leads in the system. It might be with this property, or it could be with a different property, because you could have this phone number be attached with 10 different properties, and then it would get updated everywhere in the system.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure. Cool. All right. David said, I need to study more, but seems like a great strategy. I've been doing nothing but cold calling. Seems that strategy has become less effective than it once was. So David, it's gonna happen. As you do marketing, you will notice that some things are gonna work. It could, if for no other reason, it could be the time of the year. Some things are gonna be more effective at certain times of the year versus like direct mail. We noticed that towards the end of the year, just my experience, I could be totally wrong, is like, once like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because people are getting so much mail that your direct mail tends to get a little bit lost in all the other mail that you're getting. That's been my experience. But then at the beginning of the year, starting beginning of the year, outside of any like super busy holiday season, direct mail tends to be pretty consistent. Cold calling, depending on another thing you want to make sure is that your phone number are not getting marked as spam. So you might be calling 1,000 people, but if your phone number is showing up as spam, then it's not going to help you make any connections with those people, because your number is going to keep showing up as spam. So you're going to have much lower rate of people that you're connecting with. So you want to make sure some of those things you want to clear out when you're sending out cold calling. You want to make sure your numbers are not showing up as spam. We check that within REsimpli, and we'll do that for cold calling also. When we go live with dialer, you'll see phone number, group name, and then you see this information also. Like we'll do spam check of every single phone number. So you'll see that if you see a phone number showing up as spam, so you don't have to do anything. We'll go ahead and remediate that phone number. We've had like 99% success rate so far. on getting your number removed from that spam check, so you don't have to keep changing the phone number. But that's one thing you want to make sure is if you're calling someone and if this says, hey, spam check is yes, I haven't run my test number through that, but if it says yes, and we'll say which carrier it's showing up as spam for. So then you can imagine if you're calling somebody and it shows up on caller ID as spam likely, then you're not going to have people picking up your phone at that point. So it's something to keep in mind. Awesome, guys. Yeah, I'm excited about the dialer. So we should be going live with it soon. We're starting our testing right now, just to make sure it's working as expected. We'll have a couple of options right here. One would be for, I haven't tested yet. One would be for auto dialer. One would be for click to dial. And then you have kind of, you can use the script that you want, which you'll be able to, once if somebody doesn't pick up a call, you can just by click of a button, leave them a voicemail message, and then move on to the next number. And then you can do a bending call after a certain number of seconds, and then a couple of other cool things. So I'm excited about that. Any thoughts on this from anybody that's doing cold calling on the stats page? Anything that you guys see initially that you guys tracked and we don't have right here? Let me just take a couple of questions. Will you be able to send individual text and direct mail with cold call? Rocker, you will be able to send individual text, but not direct mail with a cold calling in list stacking. So if I'm calling someone, kind of just what you can do with the lead styler right now, you're calling someone, you can send them the individual text, but not direct mail. Direct mail is a good idea. But typically what we do is, if let's say I've sent it just ends up being more expensive if I'm sending one off direct mail. So I might have 1,000 people that I call, and then let's say 100 people that I want to send direct mail to, but I'll just send 100 direct mail to those 100 people. It just ends up being a little bit more cost effective rather than sending one off direct mail. And David has a question, can REsimpli do RVM? You can do RVM, but not for bulk RVM. So you cannot send RVM to like 1,000 people in list stacking. That's not allowed. We're not gonna even allow that. It's just too many issues with litigations and whatnot, so we don't want to get into that, or bulk SMS for that reason. Susan has a question. If the spam check says yes, does that mean it's showing up as spam? That is correct. So let me show you what it would look like. Let me see if I have one of my numbers showing up as actually, I mean, these are my phone numbers. So if you see this, all the spam check is good. So they're showing up fine. When I call somebody, it's not showing up as spam. But what would happen is if it were not the case, if it was actually showing up as spam, it would actually have a number of 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if you hover on it, we're going to show you which carrier, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, or Sprint is actually marking it as a spam. Just what we've noticed so far, AT&T tends to be the most aggressive at marking phone number as spam. But again, we had a whole bunch of phone numbers that we were able to remediate. So you should, majority of the numbers, you should see spam check as good. But if it's not, then either you'll see NA, that means we haven't run through the spam check yet. If you just bought a number, then it might take a week for us to run through the spam check. But if it has gone through, either you'll see good or you'll see a number in red. And if you have one on it, we'll show you kind of which carrier is marking it as spam. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to delete the number. Just we'll just remediate it on a weekly basis for you. Akinov has a question, when is the site rolling out? So we're also rolling out our website. This is what it's going to look like. One of the templates. This is what it's going to look like. So we should be going live with this. I had few changes that I had my developers make with content, and we're having a content writer write SEO content for the website. We'll be going live with 2 teams next month. So in next 2 to 3 weeks, we should be going live. You'll see somewhere over here an option for websites pop up. It's going to be fully integrated with your CRM, so you can start using your website. If somebody submits any information right here, it would automatically get added as a lead. It would update your list stacking everywhere in the system. So Aki has a question about pricing, website pricing. There is no pricing. It's included. One website is included in every single plan. So if you are a REsimpli user, one website will be included in every single plan. So you don't have to pay anything extra for it. So, we just wanted to make sure we were always adding value to you guys. So we decided to just make one website free for every single plan. So again, we'll be going live with 2 themes next month, and then we'll just keep adding more and more website themes to our system. Cool. Awesome, guys. Any other question I can answer for you guys on this? I'll send this recording out once the recording is processed. Is there an option to yes, Audie, there will be an option to add a second website. There'll be an additional charge for it, but the one website on every single plan would be free, and then you can add a second website. I don't have the pricing for it just yet. We will have it soon. One other thing I want to say is we are going to be raising our pricing, but whatever plan you're on, if you don't do anything, your pricing will not change. It will be grandfathered in. But if you have any friends or anybody in your network that might be looking to sign up for REsimpli, it's a good time because we are going to be raising up our pricing very soon. So we're working on getting our pricing updated. So it should be done next month or so. So again, you guys don't have to worry about anything. You're grandfathered in whatever plan you choose. But for anybody new signing up, their pricing will be going up. So, cool. Awesome, guys. Any other questions that I can help you guys with? Related to this training or anything else that I can help you with? Cool. Guys, if you got any value from this, I'm gonna put this in the chat. If you can do us a huge favor and just leave us a Google review, it helps us a lot, kind of spread the word, and I'll really appreciate it. So I put a link in the chat. So if you click on it, it takes you straight to the Google review. If you can leave us a review, I'll really appreciate it. Yes. I will email the flowchart out to everyone with the call recording shortly. So give me some time. Once the recording is processed, you'll see an email come through, and I'll also include the flowchart. Any other questions, guys? Any other thoughts or feedback on this? I hope you guys got value from this call. I'm excited about this, just kind of with all the updates we've rolled out in less stacking with how you can easily manage your marketing all within REsimpli. And then especially with the dialer rolling out, it's going to make it much easier to just kind of have everything integrated within REsimpli. Cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being on the call. I'm excited. And if you have any questions, you can reach us by support@REsimpli or put a comment on the Facebook group, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.